I've known all along that John Kerry was going to be one of my favorite targets of criticism in this new administration because he's such a pompous half-wit who loves the sound of his own voice and has really no accomplishments to point to other than marrying a very rich lady and running for office in a very safe district. John Kerry is a jackass, but he's the ultimate limousine liberal, too, so he's really useful as the climate change czar, because if you were ever going to have somebody giving you gaseous speeches about the need to reduce gas in the atmosphere, John Kerry is in a class by himself. The Biden administration has come in, and let's be very clear. They're making dramatic changes to the economy with executive orders that are going to affect a lot of people. They're going to hurt people. They're going to put people out of work. They're going to have people who are going to be losing sleep. Their health is going to deteriorate. Their alcohol consumption, their weight is going to go up. Their families are going to be under strain. They might get divorces. I mean, economics affects lives, folks. We all know that. And the Biden administration comes in. We're already suffering after 12 months of the pandemic and the lockdowns, which have made it all worse. They've made it all worse. They have not made anything better. They've made it all worse. Look at what's gone on. It's very clear. Anybody who's honest is now, including people that disagreed in the beginning, are saying, wow, Buck, you were right about this. I know, but I didn't want to be right. I wanted this to not happen. But here we are. But while that's all going on, there's all these job losses and economic despair. What do? Oh, they turn around and they say, now we're going to add to those losses. We're going to make everything more expensive. We're going to hurt an essential domestic energy production industry. And when they're asked about it, what they're going to say, and this is just remarkable, is a new version of learn to code, except now it's learn to make solar panels. That's the smug, detached, we don't care about you, go blank yourself approach you get here. Here's John Kerry talking about oil and gas workers who have already lost their jobs. These are union folks, by the way. Thought the Democrats cared about it. Thought blue-collar Joe cared about unions. Union folks, listen to John Kerry, play 10.
Then what do you say to those who may be unemployed workers now? How do you get them into the mix? And how do you speak to the concerned oil and gas workers as well?
We need to put them to work. We need to absolutely put them to work. We need to keep them in their communities where they live. We need to make sure that the factories are coming to those communities, whether it's a new electric car factory or it's making blades for windmills or turbines or whatever. We have great need for people to work in this field, and it's critical. I've had conversations with some of my friends involved in this about how we could create some demonstration projects in those communities so people can see it's not just political talk, it's actually real economic policy that has a consequence, a positive one, on their lives.
How long before they start talking about shovel-ready jobs again? Remember that in the Obama administration? There were no shovel-ready jobs. Remember when the Obama administration, this is just Obama redux is what we're getting now. We're back to 2009. That's where we are. Except instead of a financial crisis, we have a pandemic crisis that's being exploited to the maximum by the Democrats. And we could be on the precipice of a financial crisis, too, unless some things turn around, but conversation more for another day. They talk so much about how green energy was all these jobs, all this prosperity, as if they know a damn thing about the markets, as if the people talking about this stuff really know what it means to be a worker, a laborer in any of these industries. John Kerry, just go from, you go from working on a pipeline to building solar panels. Oh, okay. Because it's just not easy, huh? Like these people don't have any skills, seniority, relationships, things that they've built up in their business. You know what a petroleum engineer makes? Average salary nationwide, about $100,000. $100,000, not bad. That's nice. Do you know what a petroleum engineer makes coming out of school year one, on average? Just shy of 80, about 80K. Oh, all right. So the solar panel guy is going to be making that? No, of course not. Manufacturing jobs in things like solar panels are going to be a very different pay scale. They're a much smaller market. But does John Kerry? No, he doesn't care about any of this. He's saving the planet. Your little rinky-dink petroleum job, as far as John Kerry's concerned, that doesn't matter. They got a planet to save. Shut up, peasant. Be grateful. Be thankful that this is where it is. Well, I got to say, this is not exactly what a lot of us had in mind with this new technocratic Biden administration. We probably all knew that was a joke. We all knew that was a laugh. Nobody's really going to take that seriously. John Kerry did say one thing I wanted to point out, and that is that while we are doing all these self-inflicted, unnecessary wounds to our economy in this country, the truth is that it doesn't do a darn thing to the global emissions rate, really, not in a meaningful way. Play 11.
The stakes on climate change just simply couldn't be any higher than they are right now. It is existential. We use that word too easily, and we throw it away. But we have a big agenda in front of us on a global basis. And President Biden is deeply committed, totally seized by this issue, as you can tell by this executive order and by the initiative of getting back into Paris immediately. That's why he rejoined the Paris Agreement so quickly, because he knows it is urgent. He also knows that Paris alone is not enough, not when almost 90% of all of the planet's emissions, global emissions, come from outside of U.S. borders. We could go to zero tomorrow, and the problem isn't solved.
We could go to zero emissions tomorrow. The problem is not solved. But isn't it funny how Californians think, oh, like I'm just lessening my CO2 footprint. I'm going to save the world. They really believe that. It's a lunacy. I mean, this is a disorder of sorts. Climate change does have so many similarities to mass cults of the past. And people think that there are, it's very similar to religions. There's an end of days myth. There's a system of indulgences. There are high priests. Right? There's a lot that goes on here. They've even had, as you know, these weird videos where people will apologize to trees and plants and things. That actually exists. I know you're thinking it actually is real. I'm sorry, Mother Earth, for cutting down your trees. And I just wish people would, if they're going to be spiritual, find something worthwhile to be spiritual about. You know? But they won't do that. And this is enormous when it comes to the economic implications for the country. Because what Biden's doing is he's sheltering the Democrats in Congress from having to actually deal with the backlash against their stupid decisions if they were to go with climate change. Biden does it himself. He's locked in for 4 years, or until Kamala decides to take over for him and he steps down. So he's got free reign to do all these things. They're even telling you this. You got Michael Mann saying, not the director of movies, but saying that Biden's Green New Deal is coming through executive order, in a sense. Play 15.
You know, again, there were some critics even in the environmental community who, for example, want to see a very expansive climate plan, a Green New Deal-like climate plan. And frankly, in a divided Congress, a 50-50 Senate, it may be very difficult to see that sort of legislation pass Congress. But what Joe Biden has done is basically go as far as one could go through executive actions to implementing something that looks a lot like the Green New Deal. And one of the things I really like about this plan, it does recognize that there are folks who may tend to get left behind when we undergo a transition away from our current energy systems towards a renewable energy economy. And so there are very tangible efforts that are outlined in this plan to make sure that we help out those communities through retraining programs and through assistance so that they don't get left behind as we make this necessary transition away from our reliance and burning of fossil fuels.
What he means is the government's going to spend a whole lot of money and give it to favored constituencies and identity groups and so on and so forth while they're making this transition. because it puts the government in charge of so much. Energy is the lifeblood of our economy. Fossil fuel is the lifeblood of our economy. But they want to move that over to this green and renewable nonsense, which, look, do I think that in 50 or 100 years, we'll have new energy sources and there won't be, it'll be very clean? And yeah, of course. It's been I keep saying this because it's true. Our energy sources, go and look at the history of what we have used from the origins of the Industrial Revolution to present. Look at how much cleaner our primary energy sources and the way we use those energy sources, even as importantly, have become. We used to be all coal. I think of ships, trains, early Industrial Revolution, machinery. Coal was the way that we were, which is very dirty and bad for the environment. And all right, so it was coal. And then we moved more into oil. And then we had nuclear, but the left shut down nuclear because they were scared, even though nuclear is a wonderful power source. And the French, European countries have used this with tremendous effect. But we had to, and our nuclear reactors should be several generations advanced beyond where they are because the environmentalists left, the bunch of, pink paradise, put up a parking lot, the whole left-wing 70s kumbaya, we can't have, big oil and we can't have nuclear power plants in this country. They shut down nuclear power plant growth, and which was terrible and bad for the environment. Anyway, but we had that power source, and then for political reasons we didn't use it. And now we're at natural gas, which is far cleaner as it burns than oil. So, this process is already happening. And if you want to go even earlier in the Industrial Revolution, we used to use whale oil, which is a really inefficient and really hard to get and expensive. That was used for lighting, for candles and for, the lamps. Then we switched to kerosene. The discovery of oil in Pennsylvania was really one of the first places that we had a real oil business in America. Anyway, fascinating history of energy in this country exists, but nonetheless, they're trying to do this great leap, this great green leap forward with technology that isn't there yet for mass usage. If you care about quality of life, if you care about standards of living, if you care about making money and efficiency, it's not there yet. But they want to try to force it at the government level. Let me tell you this. Do you think a government that cannot distribute vaccines to people in a way that is anything short of a debacle, do you think that government is going to make really smart investments with your tax dollars about the green technologies of the future? John Kerry's never run a business. These people don't know what the heck they're doing. But they do know, and this is what this guy says, they're getting what they want. They're just getting it through executive order, which was always the way this was going to be. And the usual checks and balances on this no longer apply because people in the media are completely on board for whatever the Biden agenda is, and people in the rest of the judiciary. I know there was this Fifth Circuit judge in Texas, but in general, judges are going to be afraid. They don't want to disappoint their peers. They don't want mean things said about them. They're not going to stop the Biden overreach. Yeah, Joe Biden, such a moderate. Going to do all the really smart, good things. We're getting a Green New Deal here with the stroke of Joe Biden's pen, and it's every bit as stupid and counterproductive and economically costly as many aspects of the AOC Advanced Green New Deal would be, which anybody with an IQ over a toaster knows doesn't really include AOC, was a document that was laughable. But yet now they're implementing it. Hey, Team Buck, thank you so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you like this video, please click that little thumbs up button so then it will log as liked. And also, if you want to see more great content from The First, please click subscribe.